What's up, guys? It is Joe back again talking about the Kansas State Wildcats, and in today's post-game comments, we get to talk about a win. A good-feeling win, a victory Monday, if you will. It is a great day to be a Wildcat, and we get to talk about some positive things happening in the future of Manhattan. Now, if you've watched my videos in the past, you know I've been a big Will Howard guy. I'm going to let this out of the bag now. We're going to talk basically, maybe not even entirely about the Will Howard, Avery Johnson stuff, but we're going to talk about the quarterback play because that is the biggest thing on everybody's mind. And before we do get into this week's comments, let me tell you this. If you're interested, we are giving away a lavender quarter zip at 2,000 subs, so be sure and cash in on that by hitting the subscribe button. Or if you like the catch, just stay tuned. I'm going to make a lot of videos about Kansas State athletics during both basketball, football, whatever else happening in Manhattan that I feel like deserves a video. That's what this channel is all about. But let me tell you this, guys. If you haven't seen this, if you're new to the series, I go through each week and I give you some thoughts about each game and kind of break down what I see out on the field, what I see needs to either change or what's good going forward, what's bad going forward, yada, 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 all of that. There is no escaping the fact that Avery Johnson is an absolute monster. The guy is a dude. That's a man. That's a behemoth of a person. Avery Johnson with a 5-touchdown performance. 5 touchdowns in his first collegiate game not as the starter, but as the guy, as the lone guy. And I know there's been conversation of, okay, well, that wasn't the full plan. We weren't planning to play him for 70%, 80% of the snaps. Or I think it was more 60-40 if you actually do the breakdown. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but it wasn't the game plan to say, Avery, hey, this is your game. This is your team to win. This is how we go. You know, we didn't know what we were going to see, but we did know there's going to be some increased focus on getting Avery Johnson on the field. I, for one, was a little skeptical, not of Avery, but of the idea of us getting him on the field just based off what we'd seen this season. We saw him in Missouri, and then we didn't see Avery really ever. I mean, we saw him in SEMO, but that game was 45-0 before he could blink. And I had some suspicions saying, well, the coaching staff says they're going to work on Avery. There's this that's going to happen. What's actually going to happen? You know, it's all up in the air. And then you see Sunshine jog on the field for the third drive of the game, and I'm sitting there, eyes wide. I am pumped to see what's going to happen. And then you see Avery come in and leads a 4-play touchdown drive, and it was the easiest looking drive I've seen all season. That is not even comparable at this point. Outside of maybe the first drive of the entire season against SEMO, which doesn't really, it doesn't compare by any means. Avery Johnson looked incredible, led the Kansas State offense down the field into the end zone, and that was not it. The dude found the end zone 5 times, tying a record with Colin Klein and another guy that played for K-State. I apologize. Don't crucify me over the name. That's on me. However, Avery, there's going to be talk about it. I was very supportive of Will Howard. I'm still supportive of Will Howard in a certain sense, but obviously have pivoted now, and I'll talk about that now. There's going to be people in the comment section saying, Joe, you suck. That happens. There's going to be people in the comment section saying, Joe, how does it feel to be wrong? I was very vocal about Will Howard, but let me tell you this, guys. If I have to be wrong for us to win games, I want to be wrong 110% of the time. There's never a situation when I want to be right if we're going to be winning games like this. If Avery's going to go out there and rush for 5 bills, let the guy cook, man. That's incredible. And I know there's still an argument to say, well, Avery's 100% the guy. Will is 0% the guy. Or Avery's 80% the guy. Will is 20% the guy. That should be 50-50. It should be, Will should be the starter. This should be There's a lot of things that are going to happen in the quarterback room. I'll tell you that right now, guys. We're going to see 2 quarterbacks, back-to-back seasons where both have solid play. I mean, obviously Will hasn't looked great this year, but you know what I'm getting at. Like, going from Adrian Martinez to Will Howard, I was like, well, cash it in. No disrespect to Will, but season's over. Our starting guy, our 4-star guy we went out and got in the portal, he's not out there. It's going to be a step back. Will goes out there and impresses, amazes, dazzles, leads us to a Big 12 championship game, and beats a top 5 team in the country in TCU. Flash forward to this year. Will Howard's the guy. Everybody in the Big 12, hey, this is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Top 2, top 3, top 4 guys. That's Will Howard. You pick up Avery Johnson, everybody knows the future is bright. There was a decision made. And this isn't to further spread any hate towards Will Howard. This isn't further to spread to say Avery Johnson is Jesus Christ himself. This is just strictly to say there was a decision made where coming out of halftime, they go and they score. They're true freshmen, which is kind of cool to see 2 true freshmen going head-to-head. One of my biggest problems in life is that my wardrobe does not stay up to date with the seasons. As new players head onto the football field, basketball court, etc., that's not an issue anymore. Ad Astra Sports has you covered with some awesome new designs. You can see the Pope holding up the Kansas State design, as well as Daisy Ridley holding up our Bill Snyder hiring shirt. Now, a buddy of mine actually owns and runs the shop who's currently a K-State student, which is pretty dang sweet. The website, adastrasportsapparel.com. You can find it. Look it up on Google or in the description of this video. Go ahead and check as well because there's a 10% off link in there. It's Go Cats, all one word, lowercase. Be sure and use it. It's a great guy. The shirts are awesome. I love them to death. They're Really, really great quality. I wear them a lot. It's comfort colors if you haven't had them before. Definitely worth checking out at astrasportsapparel.com. I recommend you check out these designs because they are some of my favorite. But that being said, I will let you get back to the video. Goes down the field, runs for 54 yards, puts the team in the end zone. I'm not going to talk about the play. That could have been a pass interference thing. Not complaining. We won the game, but that's, whatever. Go down. You're down 21-17 or whatever the exact was, 21-24. The idea is, hey, okay, they're back in the game. Do we go with our veteran guy or do we go with Avery because the momentum is with him right now? And Kansas State trusts the momentum of Avery Johnson. Not because Will wasn't deserving, not because Will isn't good, not because whatever reason you want to say. This game was entirely about momentum. I listened to a great podcast this weekend, and it was the KSO dudes. Mason Voth is the one that brought it up, I believe, talking about how last season when we went into Texas and Adrian was set to come back and be the starter, Klieman goes with him. And Martinez had the opportunity to stretch some of those plays that would have been sacks with Will. Straight up. It's just how it goes. Howard goes out there the next week against Baylor, absolutely dazzles, absolutely balls out, and becomes the quarterback we know he was for that season. That all happened right after Texas. But Klieman elected to stay away from the momentum and bring Adrian Martinez back. In that sense, there's an argument to say, well, if Howard plays that game, maybe we win. If Howard does this, maybe we win. Chris Klieman isn't messing with the momentum anymore. He's saying, you know what? We're taking who was getting the ball down the field right this second. You got to prove yourself right now. And it's not to say Will's bad. It's not to say Will's deserving or Will's not deserving. It's just to say, hey, what's effective? We're going with that. That's what we're doing right now. Avery runs for 5 bills, and they never seem to adjust. Also, shout out Trayshawn Ward, also incredibly effective in the ground game, and that is a lethal attack. What I want to be represented right now, before I move on to more Avery Johnson stuff, let me say this right here, right now. This is in no way intended to shame Will. I want none of you to just, oh, I told you Will Howard sucks. None of that, dude. None of that. That's not what this is about. Will Howard is still a massive asset to have on the team. Whether that be on the sidelines, teaching Avery, because here's the thing, like you saw in the postgame, if you didn't watch the Go Power Cat interviews, go watch them. It's incredible. Avery Johnson has learned so much from Will Howard already, whether it be how to go about your daily schedule, how to read a defense, how to handle this moment, press, this, that, this. He knows what it's like to be a Big 12 quarterback. That's a great leader to have. Similar to how Adrian was to Will, that's beneficial to your development. However, Avery being a true freshman, you are expediting that process. So Will, instead of having to learn that as a junior, Avery's getting to learn that as a true freshman and see the future of what it could be. All of this is to say that we're going to see Will Howard on the field at some point down the season. Not because, there's some catastrophic issue or there's something with Avery or something like that. There's going to be a time where Will Howard needs to go back into the game. Not because Avery's struggling or not because Avery's injured, not because of whatever reason. Sometimes there's going to be a specific set for Will. Or there's going to be a moment where, hey, let's just change things up. What I love about this, because I'm a big Will Howard guy. I am. Believe me, I think he's a great human being. He's a great representative of Kansas State. And the last thing I'll say about him, because I don't want there to be any slight at Will for this. One, it didn't feel like the guy was benched in some Will, hey, ha. It wasn't that, dude. That wasn't the vibe. What I do love seeing about Will Howard is what Chris Klieman says post-game. Hey, Will Howard plays for Kansas State. He doesn't play for Will Howard University. At the end of the day, the game is about winning the game. It's about getting Kansas State to win. Whatever Will has to do in this case, whether it be, okay, I'm in for 2 or 3 plays, I got to get down the field, got to do, XYZ thing, or it's, hey, I got to be ready to talk to Avery. Hey, let me get him prepared for this thing. It's a combination. It's a team thing. It is an absolute beautiful joy that we have 2 capable quarterbacks. And I'll say this. Avery needs to be the guy. Against TCU, he needs to be the starter. Maybe he doesn't need to be the 100% all the time starter. There's going to be drives where you see Will Howard come out there. But Avery's your guy that was a whole different team. The entire energy is different for whatever reason. And maybe that's a coaching thing. Maybe that's a this thing. It's not a Will Howard thing. It's not because Will's out there. But for better or worse, you see Avery make an explosive play and there's juice in the team for the first time. Special teams, flies down the field, cracks the returner, knows there's a big play coming. Defense, shout out Kobe, man. I'm going to give him a hard time for dropping that 3rd pick, but you snagged 2. So that's hell of a day for Kobe. Shout out VJ Payne. Guy who Kobe buried by saying he couldn't catch. That was hilarious post-game. If you didn't see that, check out that interview with Kobe Savage from Go Power Cat. Everything is firing on all cylinders. And if you want to say that's just the defense or that's just what Texas Tech was in that moment, that's a fair claim. But the energy, the aura there's something on that field when Avery Johnson's out there that feels like this is one of those guys in college football that you remember for the next decade. Don't take this out of context and say Joe thinks he's this person. This is the aura you get when Johnny Manziel plays in Texas A&M. Different personalities, different off-the-field stuff. Don't compare it in that sense. Just focus on the football field. Tim Tebow at Florida. Vince Young. I mean, there's guys everywhere where it's like, holy cow, we have to go up against this team. Right now, Caleb Williams. I'm not to say he's Caleb Williams. We've only seen one football game. This kid aged poorly. Don't quote me on that. But what I'm saying is when you're watching Avery Johnson command this offense, there is a fear. There's an aura. There's a, shoot, what is going to happen? This dude is good. I don't even know what to happen. Last year, Will Howard had that aura. You could feel it. You go to games, you're like, this dude is confident, charismatic. He's your signal caller right now. Avery Johnson has that. I didn't expect him to have that year one. I didn't. I expected him to be confident, capable, athletic, and, explosive when we needed him. And, just show some upside, but still be, not even small in the moment or not ready for the moment. Because the dude played, in high school, the guy was a baller. Played a ton of tough teams. He made a ton of big plays all across Kansas. State champ, did the things, blah, 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 blah. Will Howard, you felt the aura. This year, you feel the aura with Avery Johnson. You can't keep that guy on the sidelines. That's the basis of this. And if you want to comment in the comment section, oh, Joe, you liked Will Howard. How does it feel to be wrong? It feels great. Absolutely feels great. If I have to be wrong, and we're going to play this great every time, I will always be wrong. I would love to be wrong 100% of the time. What I won't stand for is slander for, towards Will, or slander towards the team, or this towards the defense, or this towards this. This is a team. Guys, everybody played great. Everybody played together. The defense made some turnovers. The special teams started to look like special teams. There's good things happening out there. Austin Romaine is a dog. Playing with a broken wrist, the guy's cracking people sideline to sideline. The bright future at Kansas State is there. And it's not because Avery Johnson's there. It's not because Will Howard's there. It's because the team is playing together for the first time this season. That's what I saw against Texas Tech. Everybody played for the name on the backs. Everybody played for the power cat on the side of the helmet. They played for one another. That hasn't happened this season. There is an incredible quarterback room at Kansas State. This is not meant to say one guy deserves to be, thrown out with the win. Hey, Will, it's time for you to get into coaching, buddy. We're not doing that. But what we are doing is competing for a Big 12 title. You saw the energy. That can continue. I'm not saying that Avery has to be a Heisman candidate in every single week. What I am saying is that explosion we saw cannot afford to sit on the sideline. That's what I saw. Let me say this, guys, because I know I'm kind of all over the place right now with my thoughts. Let me run you through the exact things I wrote down before I move on here, because I know I'm kind of just rambling. So I'll give you specific parameters of what I said. Avery Johnson needs to be your guy. No, but don't let it out of your brain. Will Howard is an asset to have. If Avery struggles, you can go back to Will, guy with experience, guy who knows the offense in and out. If Avery comes out of the sideline, he's like, hey, dude, what did we do there? What defense did they just throw at me? Will Howard will know that. There's going to be confidence. There's going to be not this weird, backstabbing feel to the quarterback room where you see that across the nation. When you have mature leaders like an Avery Johnson, like Will Howard, guys that can handle that without getting ego checked or get something in the way or having whatever happen, that's the good thing that can happen. Guys can work in synergy together. The other thing I saw, with Avery Johnson in the game, and I know there's going to be comments about Will Howard too, I don't know how the hell you defend us. I don't. And you're going to say, well, load the box. We'll figure it out. If you load the box, let me tell you this. We have quick enough playmakers on the jet. That's where the jet sweep comes around. That's where guys getting out wide in space come around. Avery can throw the damn football, dude. That guy can run the laces off the ball. He can throw the rock. If you want to say, because there's the narrative like he was so good on the ground game. Oh, Avery can't throw the football. That's what you saw on social media. That's not a thing. The dude rips the ball. Just wait and see. I promise you that. The other things I wrote down, I talked about the aura with Avery Johnson. I talked about the defense and some wide receiver struggles. What I haven't talked about yet is this. Kansas State has an opportunity to be incredibly special. We just don't know what that's going to look like yet. We don't know what that's going to look like. We don't know if it's a defense, offense, special teams, whatever it's going to be. This team has the opportunity right now to buy in and contend for another title. And I know that you can say, well, okay, it's the quarterback that did this. It's the defense that did this. It's this. Every single phase of the team got better this week. That's what we need to see continuing going forward. And I know we played a true freshman quarterback. I know Texas Tech isn't in a great spot right now. But that is a big, big win for us. Emotionally, mentally, gives your guys confidence. But here's the thing, guys. There are some good things ahead of us. We need to wade the waters. So whether you're an Avery guy, whether you're a Will guy, whether you're a defense guy, special teams guy, whatever you are, we're all in this together. So Comment if you will. Say I was wrong. I am happy to be wrong if the Wildcats keep rolling. I cannot wait to talk to you next week and see what happens in the next matchup with the TCU Horned Frogs heading back to Manhattan so we can get a little bit more revenge for that game. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for watching all these videos. I appreciate all the love and support you guys share. I will talk to you here next week after the TCU game. Have a good rest of the day, rest of the night, rest of the whatever time you're watching this at. Go Cats.